On June 12, 1776, the day after the Continental Congress appointed the Committee of Five to draft a Declaration of Independence, it appointed a committee of 13 to draft a governing document for the Union of the States, the Articles of Confederation. The Congress approved it on November 15, 1777, and after 4 years, all 13 state legislatures had finally ratified them. They went into effect on March 1, 1781. The Articles of Confederation established a firm league of friendship between the states, an agreement that they would cooperate in matters of mutual affairs and interests. But each state would retain sovereignty over its own affairs and interests. The Congress's first attempt to advance the common interest was to find a way to better raise revenue to pay its debts and fund the war effort. Section 8 of the Articles already allowed the Congress to fund a common treasury by calling on the states to lay and levy a tax based on property values. On February 3, 1781, the first proposed amendment to the Articles came up for consideration, a 5% duty on all foreign imports that would be directly collected by the Congress. As the states considered the impost amendment, the Congress also realized that it lacked sufficient power to enforce the Articles. Shortly after they were enacted, the Congress appointed a committee of 3 to draft another amendment that would give it coercive authority to implement legislation, like the impost amendment. Serving on that committee was James Madison.
It is understood, and hereby declared, that in case any one or more of the Confederated States shall refuse or neglect to abide by the determinations of the United States in Congress assembled, or to observe all the Articles of Confederation as required, the said United States in Congress assembled are fully authorized to employ the force of the United States, as well by sea as by land, to compel such state or states to fulfill their federal engagements. James Madison, Proposed Amendment to the Articles of Confederation, March 12, 1781.
This amendment would have authorized the Congress to use an embargo against uncooperative states, cutting them off from importing and exporting goods until they complied with their financial responsibilities.
The necessity of arming Congress with coercive powers arises from the shameful deficiency of some of the states which are most capable of yielding their apportioned supplies, and the military exactions to which others already exhausted by the enemy and our own troops are in consequence exposed. Without such powers, too, in the general government, the whole Confederacy may be insulted, and the most salutary measures frustrated by the most inconsiderable state in the Union. James Madison to Thomas Jefferson, April 16, 1781.
The firm league of friendship was already being tested. Massachusetts objected to the earlier impost amendment, calling it too grave an injustice to be obeyed. Rhode Island also opposed the amendment, and Virginia would eventually rescind its ratification of it. If the Congress proposed amendments to the Articles, unanimous approval by the states was required for them to pass. Congress proposed 8 amendments to the Articles between 1781 and 1786, most of them dealing with raising revenue and regulating commerce. Not one ever received unanimous approval. Madison believed that $50 million was the minimum amount needed to cover the debt of the War of Independence, and he did not believe the states could raise it on their own. It would allow them to express justice and gratitude to unpaid soldiers, ensure our tranquility at home, and secure the Confederation's reputation with foreign and domestic creditors. Without Congress simply having the authority to raise an independent revenue for the common interest, the nature of the Confederation was in question, and its future was already at stake.
What then would become of the Confederation? What would be the authority of Congress? What the tie by which the states could be held together? What the source by which the army could be subsisted and clothed? What the mode of dividing and discharging our foreign debts? What the rule of settling the internal accounts? What the tribunal by which controversies among the states could be adjudicated? James Madison, January 28, 1783.